gosh, it's so long ago now, isn't it? But when I first heard, I was quite scared actually. I felt as though we were in safe hands, that the experts, as we have heard so much about, knew what they were doing, and I was thinking this is it. I was thinking this is the Armageddon, this is the virus which is going to wipe out the planet. It's happening. When did I first change my mind about the lockdown? It was about 2 or 3 weeks in, and there were no bodies in the street. I know when I first thought the lockdown was a bad thing. I can remember that. That was when I saw a clip on Twitter about a funeral, and this broke my heart actually, because there was a funeral and the father had died, and the wife was standing there, was sitting at the funeral, and her son was on the right hand side of the aisle, and he moved and she was crying. You could see from the camera behind it, she was sobbing, and the son went to comfort his mother, and a security guard came between them and pushed them apart. And I was disgusted, because I can't think of anything that's more humane than a son. I'm going to get all upset. I don't think there's anything more humane than a son comforting his mother when his father and her husband has died. Lockdown has completely removed everything that defines us as human beings. We're a social creature. We've created churches and pubs and football stadiums in which we gather and we mingle, and we rub up against one another, and it works, and it's worked. Things don't survive if they don't work. If they're obsolete, they won't survive, and all of these things have survived and prevailed, and they've been taken away. And I believe very strongly that you either believe in society or you don't, that this isn't optional. You either believe in the importance of socialising, of being socially intimate. I'm trying to think of the opposite of social distancing, and the best I can come up with is social intimacy. But you either believe in these things, you either believe in an old man walking into a butcher's and having a brief chat with a butcher as being a rewarding and life-feeding, nourishing thing, or you don't. You either believe in looking after the frail, or you don't. You can't switch it off. It's as simple as that. This whole idea of letting the virus rip. Well, this is the language an aside on the language, if there's one thing which we've seen during this, is the adoption of language which is used against you. This whole phrase, key worker, the key worker idea is nonsensical, because work is key to anybody that's working. My children have a key worker living in their house. I was a social worker, I was a key worker, and now I'm a psychotherapist, but I don't see any difference between a plumber, a nurse, a doctor. They're all key workers, because work defines us. That's another thing which defines us as human beings, and we've been told, thanks to lockdown, that we can't now work. We have to work from home. And lots of people have lost their businesses, shops have been closed. The chance of me dying of COVID is basically nil. I mean, there's a chance, but there's a chance of an aeroplane dropping on my head right now. You know, this is about assessment of risk. And living's risky. Crossing a road is risky. Getting out of bed every single morning is risky. And when you're depressed, when you're scared, you tend not to get out of bed. You retreat and you regress, really. And that's what this feels like. It feels as though there's been a latent need for people to regress, which hasn't really had the opportunity to find voice. And now we see it. People are wearing nappies on their faces. So what people seem to be doing is that they're going for the easy reach. Let's save lives. Well, no one can argue with that, because if you try and challenge that, then you can be, well, you're clearly a bad person and you don't care about people. You're greedy and you care about the economy. But the economy, we are the economy. This is the economy. Me sitting on this sofa is the economy. The economy isn't just about earning personal wealth. It's about earning tax revenue, and it's about giving people meaning. We need purpose in our lives. We're not designed to be sitting around locked in our houses, losing all meaning. And if there's one thing which makes me absolutely furious, as actually I don't sound that furious for once, but is how the mental health in this country has deteriorated. I'm seeing patients now who are having to sell their houses because their businesses have collapsed. Now, at what point does this wealth health thing? Well, without wealth, there's no health. So this binary separation of the two is frankly as childish as the lockdown is actually. We're grown-ups